Having characters compete for challenges in a friendly rivalry is a bit boring. I want to make them brutally fight each other to death. So I've been thinking for a while, how would I go about this? I can't really make it a PvP style fight since these characters aren't going to be able to be so intricate. I want to be able to just put in some characters and for them to fight on their own without being controlled by any player. I've actually been inspired by turn-based fighting games. There you have a list of actions you could do, and you strategically choose which one would be the best. But each time you encounter some sort of enemy that you have to beat in order to further advance, it seemingly chooses at random the next thing that it does. So what if I have two characters with each having their own list of attacks? In each round, they choose at random out of the list the next attack that it will do on the opponent. Up until there's a winner. That idea sounds good. It's time to make it a reality. Recently learned some coding in C#. It was for some boring homework, but since I learned it, I might as well also do something fun with it. I'm not that good with coding, so with this, I also learned some new things and I'm using the help of ChatGPT to teach me stuff. Here is where I write all the characters, names and stats, and the same with the attacks. I have settled on each OC always having 100 points of health, and them always having exactly 3 attacks. I put some placeholder stuff there to see if it works. And it does. But no matter how I word the text, it looks so cluttered and hard to look at. Then I learned that you could actually color the text. Now, it's dark yellow. Hopefully it's better. I ran into the issue that if a character reaches 0 health, it might still do another attack while being dead. The silly caution tape roll is knocked out, and yet still did the attack of being too silly. I didn't know how to fix this, so I asked ChatGPT to help me. I expected it to completely rewrite the code, but it was such a simple solution, it's making me feel like I am dumb. This bit of code that checks if someone won, instead of it being at the end, just place it in the middle of the code, so it checks after each attack. And now technically it's complete. It's making 2 characters fight. But I was thinking if I could add more to it. You know how in rock, paper, scissors, rock beats scissors, paper beats rock and scissors beats paper. Just like that here, I wanted each player to be split into 3 teams or types, and depending on which ones get paired, the attacks get buffed or nerfed. I implemented it by writing every possible combination of it. Type 1 beats Type 2, and the attack gets an extra 5% damage bonus. Type 2 beats Type 3, and Type 3 beats Type 1, and vice versa with having 5% less damage on your attacks. Type 1, 2, and 3 are currently placeholder names. I'll think of something better later. I decided, instead of instantly showing the results and having to scroll through them, to always have in the top corners the health of both players and to require the user to press enter after each round to build suspense. And I added an alternative text. Every attack has a small chance that it doesn't go through. Now, my code is so convoluted it's hard to keep track of everything, but I think that's everything that I wanted to do. If you have more ideas of features you would like me to add in the future, you can give me suggestions, though I would need to depend on ChatGPT a lot more, as until now, I tried to write everything myself as much as possible. It's time to gather the characters that will be subjected to ferocious battles. All this information has been put in a Google form where it asks for the OC and the 3 attacks. I also decided that the team names will be honey, coconut, and lime. I couldn't think of anything better, and a bunch of food items sounded nice. Let's see, what do we get? The first submission is this. Such perfect character for a fight. A little issue I'm encountering. 20 damage, plus fire damage. I don't know what exactly fire damage is. I could make up something for it where the opponent will lose 5 health for the next 3 rounds if it gets attacked with this. But that isn't implemented in my code, and this isn't the only one. Tons of other people have written additional features along their attacks. All damages have a 2 times boost. Having a coin OC flip itself and deal the damage depending what it lands on, and many more. A lot of these ideas are quite good for future features, but they currently don't exist in the code, so I might not be able to execute them. Maybe I could do a bit of it manually, but I don't know how to interfere in the simulation to change the amount of health in each round. It's technically also possible to write a list of rules and have ChatGPT simulate it for you, but now I'ma keep it to my code. With all these characters that I received, we need a proper space for them to fight in. Sadly, all the stadiums were too expensive. But thankfully I managed to bribe someone with 5 bracelities in order to get a hold of this. Don't ask anything, no shady business happened during this transaction. Okay fine, I'll let you know a little secret. All the bracelities were given an escape plan to make their way back, as if I've never lost them. Anyways, let's welcome the 3 judges that we have. First, USB cable. I know you don't like being in a place with so many people, but I promise you it's gonna be fun. I know how much you like violence. The second judge is Firefly Hourglass. I'm surprised you made it here. I thought you were super busy, but I'm happy you made time for this. No pun intended. And third judge. Wait, where's Radio Tower? Oh, up there. Never mind. I forgot. They are too big. There's a reason radio towers aren't judges in fighting tournaments. Oh, one of the bracelities is already back. Then I'll have bracelity instead as the third judge. This computer to the side will run the code. Who do we have for the first fight? Chaos Manual. A manual to causing chaos beyond comprehension. Almost always hyperactive due to the sheer amount of chaotic energy in his pages. I think those swirly eyes are surely going to hypnotize someone with chaos. Versus Speaker is a system of 3. Jay is the main socializer of the 3. Boza prefers to stay back and do most of the planning. And Logi is very competitive and will not let any sort of disrespect to them slide. 3, 2, 1, go. Chaos Manual goes first and uses top hat tomfoolery. Pulls out a cartoony bomb from his top hat and throws it at the opponent. I didn't know such a dangerous thing was hiding in that hat. But Speaker strikes back with deafening quake, where Speaker stomps with an amplified sound to trigger a mini earthquake, dealing more damage, putting them in the lead. By the way, they are both in the coconut team, so they don't have any advantages or disadvantages over each other. Chaos Manual opens his pages, revealing a blinding, burning light that deals 40 damage. But Speaker doesn't give up. They play a low and high frequency sound loudly at the same time, damaging the opponent's hearing. For the second time, Chaos Manual uses the chaotic knowledge and officially wins the very first fight. What do the judges think? USB cable, do you have anything to say? Very insightful commentary. But what about you, Firefly Hourglass? And bracelity. Next, we have Alto Clef. Very small, aka as tall as a leg of a chair, likes being alone but isn't really shy, and can't talk at all but does understand sign language. Versus Plastic Bucket, which is a plastic bucket with cat ears who likes to 3. They are in the coconut team and the opponent is in honey team, so they are at a disadvantage. Alto Clef immediately uses a gun, which seems really violent, but Plastic Bucket knows he can't handle such situation, so he calls on his brother, Metal Bucket, to help him. Alto Clef deals another shot and wins. That was the quickest fight I've seen. I think the audience is enjoying the show so far. Fight 3. Multi-shape, a square with 2 triangles at the end, but it can move them around as much as it wants, since it's completely detached from the body. The goober exists solely for chaos, having the personality of your average evil clone. Versus FPD, kinda laid back. They use Sealed Away for a moment, which traps the enemy inside the folder and then shakes around. Multi-shape must have gotten really dizzy because they missed their attack. FPD takes this opportunity and punches them, but Multi-shape isn't happy. With heavy slam, it FLIs up after grabbing its opponent and then FLIs straight into them, pummeling onto the ground. FPD pulls something out of himself and throws it at the enemy. Multi-shape gets up close and uses its triangles to drag its opponent across the floor, while also kicking them at the end of the attack. Did you see that USB cable? That was so violent. FPD used Sealed Away again. They currently have a massive lead with triple the amount of health. Multi-shape attempts the attack that missed last time and succeeds, spinning its triangles pretty fast, dealing 5 damage 4 times. FPD punches again and Multi-shape is near death, but despite all odds, they win the fight. By the way, all the winners will move on, and will keep going until there's one winner. Next, a demon horn with horns and a tail with a flaming tip. He commits many crimes, but his favorite crime is arson versus Pin with flamethrower, also an arsonist. Horn used evil boost, which makes him become more evil. Puffle spins around while using the flamethrower, dealing damage in all directions. A crazy tactic indeed. Horn used evil boost again. Thought he was already evil enough. Now I'm scared. But Puffle doesn't fear and shoots out a burst of flames using the flamethrower. Horn swings his tail at the opponent, causing burns. Looking at the health, I don't think Pin will survive. Hope does still exist. Flame burst is used again, but Horn bites back and wins. We have 6 more fights to go through for stage 1. I don't want it to drag out, so I'll speed through them real quick. Emily, a cotton-flavored gumball, versus a terbium coin. Emily's mean attitude proved too strong for Eterbium's money-related tricks. And 1. Kelly and Connie versus Sandy. The sand got washed away real quick. Traffy, who easily gets panicked and might do silly things while fighting, versus Lolcode, who using an unusual language, manages to win. Alarm Clock, overly optimistic and positive but naive and gullible, sees the best in everyone but is painfully unaware of the world around him, versus Silly Book, a really silly person that might get out of control and severely damage other objects. Silliness is clearly very dangerous. Candy Corn is a natural scavenger, though she will often take things for no apparent reason and often tries to hide her stealing axe, versus a metal spider-like creation that was built to protect and guard an area, as well as to remove and dispose of trespassers. A bunch of cute candy had no chance against metal. This perspective pawn changes the size depending on where do you look at it. From the radio tower's perspective, it looks really small, but from here, it's huge. Versus Azuma Knight, resistant to water, can make bubbles by spinning or waving his trusty soaksword. Has a signature Sukiyaki Moshling pin it always wears. The pawn got obliterated in 2 moves. Out of the 20 participants, we have 10 winners. Out of those, Honey and Coconut both have the same amount of people, and Lime is at 2 members. And it was at 3 before, so the Limes are pretty strong. We went through a lot of fights. What do the judges think so far? But what has the audience to say? Hi, what do you think of the show so far? Never mind, they are now spam clicking me. What about you? What do you think of the show so far? Why did I even bother asking the audience? By the way, everyone who lost can still stay around in the audience to watch the rest of the show. We shall move on to round 2. Multi-Shape versus Emily. Whoa, I noticed that Emily has entered phase 2. This evil dark side now has death flavor. Multi-Shape used Chaotic Brawl 4 times in a row. Emily tried to counter it with claws and spikes, but perished. Horn versus Chaotic Manual. Horn swing the tail a lot, but Chaos Manual used Trick Punch where it spins around the opponent, making them confused, then punching them last second, and used Top Hat Tomfoolery multiple times to throw out multiple bombs. Though Horn is unfazed and takes the victory, Spider grabs the enemy with its giant claw and stabs them with the needle attached to its claw. Silly Book throws glitter in their eyes, which cause Spider to miss an attack, yet they manage to make their way to a win. Azuma Knight versus the Cherry Siamese Twins. We have the rad and cool boy Kelly and the kind and sweet Connie. There's nothing that can separate these brothers, unless you use scissors. Azuma Knight takes its Sukiyaki pin and throws it at the opponent, releasing a mist that weakens the opponent. Kelly throws a rad punch. Azuma Knight flaps its wings really fast to make a violent typhoon, pulls anything close to him into the watery vortex, which does crazy damage, but the cherry punches are too strong and they win. Then we have Alto Clef versus Lolcode. Only speaks in lol speech and can cast magical spells through its speech. You will never see that mouth closed or anything other than smiling. They summon random inanimate objects to appear in the air, then fly directly into the opponent, and also uses a strong math ray. So far Alto Clef has only ever used the gun Strat, which is overpowered and no one can compete with it. That concludes round 2. As you have noticed, we now have 5 remaining contestants. But a fight always includes 2 people, so we need an even number. In order to do that, I'm going to spin this wheel that will choose someone at random, and whoever it lands on will move on to the next round without any fights. Multi-Shape has been chosen to move on. Kelly and Connie versus Alto Clef. Both of Siamese do a coordinated combo attack to the opponent with style and quote-unquote kindness. Aka or rap skateboard. The opponent uses the gun. Damn it, Alto Clef, stop using the gun. Kelly and Connie do the stylish combo again. But Alto Clef didn't listen to me and uses the gun for the 6th time in a row. They move on to the finals. The second fight is between Horn and Spider. Horn swings the tail. Spider use their claws. Horn becomes more evil, with deadly grip. Using its large mouth, Spider bites onto the enemy and clamps onto the enemy, making very hard to get off and causes bleed. Horn doesn't care and continues to swing that tail. Spider gives a warning roar, but Horn just ignores it and bites really hard. 5 health for Spider and 44 health for Horn. This is the end for Spider. Not unless they make a big comeback. They are now moving on to the finals. As you have noticed, we currently have 3 characters for the finals, and we need 2. So I'm gonna spin the wheel again, but this time it will eliminate someone at random. The eliminated contestant is Spider. Your journey has sadly been cut short. Now, it's time for the moment we've been all waiting for. The fight that will determine the ultimate winner of this fighting tournament. Multi-Shape versus Alto Clef. Who are you rooting for? USB cable? What about you, Firefly Hourglass? And Bracelity? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Alto Clef used the gun. Multi-Shape used Chaotic Brawl by dragging the opponent on the floor with the triangles. Alto Clef manages to get up, and for the 8th time in a row uses the gun. Normally by now, the opponent would have been dead. But Alto Clef is on Honey team, having a slight disadvantage over Multi-Shape on Line team. So there's still a chance for a comeback. Multi-Shape used Chaotic Brawl again. And finally, for the first time, Alto Clef used a different attack, only dealing a very tiny 5 damage. But it was still too much. It's over for Multi-Shape. Alto Clef is now officially the winner of this fighting tournament. Congratulations. I didn't think of that.